Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Media Man. And this is another stream for Nottingham Forest. And this time it's a preview of Nottingham Forest versus Aston Villa in a Premier League. Yes, remember, we are Premier League people. This is a Premier League clash between two teams that are completely out of form. Two former colleagues, Steve Cooper and Steven Gerrard, who meet on Monday night live at the City Ground. Very, very excited. Of course, big game, all to play for. And obviously two teams that really need the 3 points now more than ever. So what is going to happen? Are Forest going to pull it back and make it a win in 6? Or are they going to go on to lose their 6th straight game in a row? Or maybe are they just going to get a draw? Let's wait and see. Now, there's 8 of you in currently. It's a bit of a quiet one by the sounds of it. That is not good. But it's good to be back either way. The Wi-Fi, I'm pleased to tell you all, is a little bit better. 72 megabits per second download speed, I think it was. So pleased with that. I'm glad just to have normal, stable Wi-Fi, knowing that I've just said that. It's probably going to change in a minute. But as I say, good to be back talking all things football. Good to be talking all things Forest in specific. So, Life of Z, Arsenal. Don't even, because I'm sure I said to put a bet on 3-2 Arsenal, and the person that put the bet on said 3-2 Liverpool. Could have won 250 quid, but that's okay. That's fine. It's not like I need money when I've just bought a brand new tablet for school and I've bloody skin. I don't need money. Of course I don't. Who needs money anymore? It's overrated, right? It's overrated. So I know Man U playing Everton, so maybe it is going to be a quieter one. I mean, I don't know why that would stop people watching a Forest stream, to be honest, because who likes Man United and Everton? But oh well. Eve, good evening. I hope you're well. Tim, good to have you in the stream, my friend. And yeah, as Kel says, don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Goes a long way. Get on it, because we're gonna aim for 2.5k. We're going to aim, 2.5k, I wish. 1.5k. We're going to try and get that in the coming month or so. So please help me if you can. Goes a long way, as I say. And I know tonight's going to be a quiet one just because of the football anyway. Liam, it's been a while, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Where have you been? I've not heard from you in ages, mate. I hope you're doing good. Isaac, good to have you. Rad Dad, good evening, sir. Brian, good to have you, my friend. I can't do your garden next Saturday because it's football. I've just remembered we've got Wolves, haven't we? So unfortunately it'll have to be a different time. Sorry about that. So people, Aston Villa versus Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa, of course, we're not just going to roll over them. We're not just going to roll over and let them win. Rather, we're going to put up a fight by the looks of it. Aston Villa 16th place at the moment, 1 win in 5. And that's the same for every team except for Leeds. So from 15th to 20th, every single team has only got 1 win in 5, and Leeds haven't even got a win in 5. So at the moment, it's looking like Leeds and us are the only teams to not have a win in 5 in the Premier League. So Leeds obviously picking up points in draws, though. So this is what I'm talking about. This is it. 2 massively outformed teams. I mean, we've got a goal difference of -15. They've got a goal difference of -4. So it's fair to say they've got a bit of a better defence. I think you could say they tend to leak goals a little bit less often. And yeah, it is the battle of the Steves, as Kel says. And obviously, those two do know each other, as Steve and Gerrard used to work in the academy for a little bit. And I think Steve Cooper might have only just been there at the same time. But even if he wasn't, obviously they knew each other because, you know, they all worked together anyway at Liverpool, staff, players, whatever. So they know each other. I can imagine they know each other to a certain degree as well. You can tell that Steven Gerrard does like a bit of Steve Cooper with the way he was defending him in a press conference, which in my view was a sensible viewpoint to take anyway. But obviously, given the fact they're friends as well, that I think there was always going to be that viewpoint coming across either way. So, Liam, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know you'd been ill, my friend. You should have just bloody messaged me, mate. I'm always here for you. And it's the same for any of you. You know, if any of you are struggling with anything, just drop us a message. You know, if you've got me on Twitter, I'm Jamie Martin. Drop us a message. You won't see me at 7 a.m, Brian. You've got absolutely no chance of that. I will not be coming. at 7. No, thank you. I'm up at 6 o'clock every day for school anyway, and then 4, 5 o'clock on a Tuesday for my driving lessons. So I'm not doing that. Not doing that. Have Everton scored already? Seriously? God, they have 6 minutes in. Oh no, I've put Man United 4-2 for this. Can they do it? Oh, Man United 4-2. Oh, I'm going to message my dad now. Look, I'm going to Man U 4-2 win. See what we get on that. What's the odds on that then, guys? Man U 4-2 win. I wish I'd not streamed at this time now. There's 24 of you in, though. We've got a good amount of you in. Please share anyway to your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram, wherever you want to share it to. Much appreciated if you can just spread the word a little bit. And also, Jay, would have to meet up, my friend. If any of you are actually at the game tomorrow, I'll be there from 4 p.m. extra early, providing my my tablet. Right, because I bought a tablet. I brought a brand new tablet for school and stuff, as I mentioned earlier. So hopefully, it's there in time before football, and I can leave at 4. I'm just having a look at what does it say on the order sheet? So it doesn't even give me a time on this. This is brilliant, isn't it? Oh, bloody thing. Bloody Hermes, eh? What are they good for? They're not even called Hermes anymore. Forest fans, absolutely. We will be the 12th man. And obviously, it's a home game. So we've got that big advantage. Obviously, Aston Villa already in a tough position. And we could really push them into a even further pit of pressure, if we sing and we continue to give as good as an atmosphere as we did when we were losing 3-0 at Leicester. Obviously, we want to try and make it a little bit more positive, the reason for singing. But it will all be good. It'll all be good. Me and Harry will be there for 5:30. Brilliant. Well, we'll catch up either before and after the game. Hopefully, I'm going to sit in for the press conference, so I might not be after, but we'll have to wait and see. I know you and Rads will be there. Have me and Dave got our regular slot? Is what I ask you, Rad Dad, or maybe Rads if you're here. Have we got our regular slot? I do have to ask. What are you seeing tomorrow? I'm in the media bit in the main stand. So if you are in the main stand, feel free to come and say hello. We're literally just right at the top, right at the very back. And if you're looking backwards at it, I'll be in the top left, right on the corner. So right next to the door that you get into the media bit with. All you trickies play your parts. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, guys, it's one of them games where we all know that we've been in rubbish form. We all know how it could go. But at the same time, I think tomorrow's a massive opportunity. There's foundations there to win that game. Obviously, you've had West Ham, we've had some pretty poor home games, right? I think we've only won one of the home games so far this season. We've picked up 3 points out of what it would be West Ham, Tottenham, Fulham, Bournemouth. So 3 points out of 4 home games. It's not brilliant considering that the place was a fortress last season. Atmosphere-wise, we've been immense every time. But we just need to start getting the results on the pitch. And I think that Steve Cooper signing a contract and a couple other things happening in the club at the moment probably mean that that there's been a bit of a pressure lifted off some of the players' shoulders. So big times for Forest. If you do want to hear a bit more about my thoughts on Steve Cooper's contract extension, which I'm not going to go into too deeply today, because obviously today is just about the Aston Villa game, then feel free just to head over to my YouTube, and it's the second to latest video, obviously the video after this, which is labelled Cooper Extends Stay at Nottingham Forest. Feel free to go and have a listen. Really, really interesting. If you're interested in Cooper's contract, and hopefully you do enjoy it, just let me know. Henry Groom, we need to get out of the mentality that if we take 1 goal, we will take 3 or 4 more. Well, look, we have to also look and say, we've got 1 goal here, 2 goals here. Why are we losing this momentum? You know what I mean? Because you've got the 3 goals. The 2 goals, sorry. Look at Bournemouth, you look at Fulham, or maybe less so Fulham, but Bournemouth, you've got those 2 goals at half time. To go and lose 3-2 is really, really poor. Obviously this is weeks ago before the international break, so things have changed a little bit, but it's not what you want to see. It's not the football you want to see, and obviously, as I say, things have changed since then. I would say in a more positive light. Obviously, with Cooper signing the contract and, a couple other things happening in and around the club, which you're going to see very soon. So, look, I really, really think there's an opportunity there against Aston Villa. I'm not going to give you any score prediction, but all I'm going to say is I think there's an opportunity that we have to take. And we have to use Aston Villa's weakness, or try to, as a stepping stone to further success in the Premier League. Because, as much as I will say that Aston Villa will be saying the exact same thing about us, there's no doubt about it. So obviously, we don't want to just let them, use that excuse to try and beat us, and also use that motivation to beat us. We have to be better. We have to be ready. We have to be more motivated than Aston Villa. We've got to want it more, because if we don't win this game, there's more and more pressure on the team to perform. So, but I do believe in Cooper. I think we'll be okay. I think he'll take us further up the league, but we've got to stick by him. The mentality of sacking managers, constantly just changing the managers all the time, it doesn't help anybody. But I can imagine, as Trevor Francis Tracksuit says here, I think Cooper has learned a lot from the Leicester match, and in particular, how far, or how teams can exploit our team in terms of how far they bring players out of their positions. You know what I mean? You've seen it on multiple occasions where players have just been completely, pulled out of their positions, only for, James Maddison to go over, jump into their, into the space that they've now created, and just pass it to anyone or have a shot or do whatever he wants to do. He's got time to do whatever he wants to do, and he just does it because he's been given the space. So, of course, they've got to be looking at how they close men down, and obviously not being dragged away too much by Leicester players, or, obviously just Premier League players in general when they go to any game now, and trying to keep to their positions as much as they can. So, but, there's more creative midfielders than James Maddison in the league. I mean, in terms of James Maddison's arguably one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. He's got more assists than Kevin De Bruyne since May, and he's an English superstar. He's a brilliant player. I rate him. I think he's got a bit of an ego, which sometimes can do him out a little bit. I think sometimes he's just a bit cocky rather than actually, really, really good. And I think sometimes it goes a bit too far. But other than that, I think at Forest, you could show that he was showing off his ego a bit, but he was just kind of, I think he was just before the part where it would have gone a bit sour for him. So, and the Wi-Fi has already started to cut out. 15 minutes in. We went 15 minutes without a cutout. It's okay. So, having a look now. Cooper, we trust? Absolutely. I do apologise if the Wi-Fi does break up a little bit. I've been trying all week to try and fix it, and not having a lot of luck with it. So the Michael Dawson interview will be conducted not here in my room. It's going to be conducted somewhere else, just literally because of Wi-Fi connection. So let's answer some of your questions. Any questions you have, send them to me. Who's your starting 11, or what is your starting 11? So I'm going to ask you, Kel, are we going for a back four, or are we going for the standard three at the back? You let me know what formation, and I'll pick my team for it, because I don't want to choose. I want you to go let me know. How's Niakate? Nothing new. I mean, I saw that Wolverine said that he was out, but I've not heard anything new on that. So I would say, if anything, he'll get on the bench, but I can't see him playing. To be honest, I don't think he's going to be back as early as that. Obviously, the French journalist that we quoted, pretty reliable guy as well. Obviously not quite right on the injury estimate, unless he's just taken another knock, like Mangala did. Hi Jay, is Dave Murphy with us for the long haul? Is he still on borrowed time? I think he's probably got January, and then after January we'll obviously have to wait and see, because obviously he's going to have another window to try and do some other stuff. I think they'll still spend another 20 million. So I'm going to say I think he's in it for the long haul, but the strategy will be the same as Cooper. If Cooper's in it for the long haul, Dave Murphy's in it for the long haul, George Sirianos, whoever's there, everybody, they're in it for the long haul, if Steve Cooper is. So to a degree borrowed time, but I think he's got till just after January, maybe February kind of time. And if the recruitment isn't up to standard then then something's surely going to have to change. Who is good on the Villa team? Well, I mean, I've always rated John McGinn, to be completely honest. I think John McGinn's pretty good. Matty Cash, obviously. You got Felipe Coutinho, Babaka Kamara, good player. Douglas Luiz, who's, Arsenal are looking at him pretty. If you want me to name all the good players, Ollie Watkins, Leander Dendoncker, God, I could name Lucas Digne. I could just name you so many. They've got good players. I've always liked Aston Villa, and I had them for Leon Bailey as well. I had them for top 10 this season, so I'm hoping that they can still do that. The bet's still there. But equally, I would like them to lose tomorrow. So I do hope they do okay in the season because, as I say, I've got the bet there. But I do want them to lose tomorrow. So as long as they don't perform well against us, then I'm happy. But to answer your question, Henry, they've got quite a few good players, and Felipe Coutinho is certainly a player you've got to watch. Regardless of what's happened in his previous career with Bayern and Barcelona and everything, all the problems with there, they've got a very, very good team. They've got a very good team. Problem is, are they being utilised and used correctly at the moment? Maybe not. Maybe that's why the issues of not winning many games are starting to arise for them. So we'll have to wait and see. Back four. Okay, so I'm going to go Lodi left back. So Lodi left back. I don't think Niakate is going to be back, so it leaves me with not much choice. I'm going to go for... This is my starting 11. So my starting 11 would be Scott McKenna. I'm going to chuck Worrell in, and I know people are going to come at me for the McKenna and Worrell thing, because if Niakate was there, I'd go for the back three and have McKenna, Niakate, Worrell, because I thought Niakate led them both really well. I thought he was a captain in between two players that last season were, but Niakate just has more experience in a top level. So, yeah, for me, I was going to say, obviously a back three, but Scott McKenna, Worrell, right back. I'm going to go for Aurier. I'm going to change it up a bit, and I'm going to give Nico Williams a rest, bring him on late in the second half. In the midfield, Mangala, O'Brien, with Morgan Gibbs-White just in front. And then on the left wing, Dennis. Up front, I'm going to put Awoniyi to start again, but Surridge is always an option. And then right wing, Johnson. So that's what I'm going to do. I want to keep it like that. That's my squad for me. And I think that'll be okay. And to be honest, Trevor Francis tracksuit, I think he might start Aurier. Obviously, Nico Williams is, obviously until Leicester, there's 7 games before. He hasn't missed a 90 minutes. So, and that's including playing for Wales as well in that time. So he's played a lot of minutes this season. So for me, that's why I'm going to say Aurier to start. I still think, Williams is a brilliant player, and I'd still bring him on at some point during the match. But obviously, the only problem with Aurier is sometimes too aggressive, and he's got a red card in him. In a game like that, you can't really afford to have a red card. So Tim, 100% like that. Need to start Dennis. Yeah, what is the situation with Dennis, do you think, guys? Because, I actually really like Dennis. I think he's a good player. But at the moment, it just seems as though he's not getting much game time. By the way, Man United have equalised. Anthony scored. But back to this game. I think that Dennis is a really good player. He can do it in the Premier League. He's done it with poor squads like Watford at the time. So, I think it's a really, really tough one because I do want to start Dennis. But I'd rather start Dennis than I would Jesse Lingard on the left. I don't know why Jesse Lingard was on the left anyway. You've got a Premier League experienced left winger in Dennis. Why not have him there? And I'm not going to talk about putting him up front because you've got Surridge and Awoniyi there. And for me, I think one of the two has to play. Obviously, that's to start. And I think Awoniyi's still got those goals in him. I just think he needs to release it a bit more and he just needs to go for it. A bit more accuracy would be nice, But I think he'll do it. If not, you've got Surridge, who's clinical and he's a proven finisher. And people that go, I don't know if he's Premier League standard. When's he been given a chance? He hasn't really. So, I think that Sam's got to have a chance. he's got to have a chance at some point. But I'd start a 1E tomorrow. So also with Toffolo, John, I think you're right. I think Jonathan, sorry, I think I think Toffolo's not really done anything wrong to be taken out of the squad. And obviously I think I'm pretty sure like he was one of the highest scoring and one of the highest assisting left backs in the Championship last season. So, he's got good qualities in him, and I do rate Toffolo. I think he's a really good player. I don't think it's fair to call him a contingency plan for relegation. I don't think it's fair to call him one of those players, because I think that he can do bits in the Premier League. But obviously Lodi was brought in as like, we've got 12 months and we don't know how long Omar Richards is going to be out for. But when Richards is back, that's going to be a really awkward place. And if they don't terminate Lodi's loan, I don't understand where Toffolo's getting in. Because for me, I think that Toffolo is really good. And I think Lodi has had his communication issues with McKenna. I think you're right. But at the same time, going forward, Lodi, when he has his moments, is really, really good. And he can put a cross in from anywhere to a very good degree, I feel. So the left-back situation's horrible. And if you told me you're putting Toffolo in, I wouldn't be by any means mad, because I think he's a very good player and unfair to be dropped. So unusual situation. That's just my thoughts on it. I really don't know. I think we're yet to see that, even a good side of Lodi properly. Bear in mind the best side of him. But hopefully we see that on Monday. He's had a week to train and reflect, more importantly, on that Leicester game. And I'm sure that they've been running through drills to stop them drifting so much. But, he's played under one of the most defensively, brilliant managers that there is, Diego Simeone. If anybody can make a defender, it's that guy. So there's something in Lodi that's special. You're playing for Brazil. He's got the ability to do it. It's just about doing it now. So I think I'm going to start him, but nothing wrong with Toffolo. Love that shirt, Jay. Great shirt. It is a great shirt, isn't it? It's Labatt's. Love it. Can you see? I love this shirt. It's one of my favourite. I think Joe Worrell wore it after we got promoted. I'm sure he did. Sure, he was videoed in the pub when they were singing "It Was a Prem." It was a Pen. We're in the Prem. Does anybody remember that? They were all in that pub, weren't they? But yeah, I love this. I just love this shirt. I think it's a beautiful shirt, and I'm still trying to get my hands on a Shipston's one as well. Looking on eBay, because I'm a large, so I want to try and see if there's any large ones on eBay. So 2-1 Nottingham Forest says AFCB Fan TV. Interesting. It's good to see a Bournemouth fan siding with us. Good little result for you at Leicester, which I tried my best not to mention, because I don't want any salty Leicester fans on my page. But that being said, it is what it is. You thought you were going up, didn't you, Leicester? And you've brought yourself back to square one again. So bit of humbling there. I feel like Dennis was a player brought in to make dressing room better. I don't know about that. Dylan. And I'm not saying that you're wrong, because perhaps you might be the opposite. But I've heard that Dennis is the opposite in a dressing room. I've heard he's not the kind of player that you want in a dressing room. So obviously, from what I've heard and what you've heard, different things. And obviously, we can't just go off what other people have said, of course. But I've heard that there was attitude problems within the dressing rooms last year. So maybe not so desirable to have him in the dressing room there. I think that he was brought in for the fact that he's a Premier League experienced winger with a good ability. But at the same time, obviously you've got Taiwo Awoniyi there, fellow Nigerian international, and obviously they used to live together in Belgium. So maybe. I mean, let me know what your thoughts on that are, Dylan. But to be honest, I would have thought the opposite. I would have thought that wouldn't be the case. Definitely get Sam on tomorrow, even if he's just subbed in. 100%. Yeah, I think I'd like to see him in the second half. I'd really like that. It would make sense, and we would definitely have the space to do so, or you would at least expect us to. So yeah, I'd like to see that, and I think actually the chance of it happening is fairly high as well. So, got it. Well, Tim, if you ever want to donate now, I'm joking, mate. I'll have a think. About that. I appreciate that. People said Jed, and absolutely, Owen, absolutely. We never saw one. That's an interesting point. Now, I want to zoom in on the we never saw one bit, because no, I'm not suggesting anything went wrong with Cooper because I don't think it did. But we didn't see Jed 6 days a week like Steve Cooper did. We didn't see him off the pitch. You saw him on the pitch, and even on the pitch, I felt there was times where it was starting to seep out of him a little bit. And obviously what Neil Warnock said may have been twisted by Jed Spence. So I don't think it's all whiter than white, if you know what I mean. I think that there's a lot more to it than simply, well, he had an attitude, he's not going to do well, and then he went and did well. I think it's a lot more than that, to be honest. And, it's expected. But, I think there's a lot more to the whole Jed Spence, Neil Warnock situation and the attitude thing as well, than what we actually see, which, is always going to happen. I understand that. But yeah, I don't think he's got an awful attitude, Jed Spence. I really don't feel that's the case. I don't think that's the case. But I think that Jed's attitude, I think it did seep out of him a little bit. Stints of it, just little outbursts. They did happen on the pitch, I'm sure they probably happened off the pitch as well. So I wouldn't say that Jed Spence didn't have an attitude problem, but I'd say that we didn't see a lot of it. So, and we know where his heart was in January. He wanted to go to Tottenham or London in January. So he didn't want to stay at Forest. If any of you are wondering why we didn't make a bid, well, that's just the reason. It's not really hard to think, that's what every newspaper has reported. He didn't want to stay. That's why Forest didn't make a bid. They're not going to make a bid for a player that doesn't want to come and make the, future signing, which was Nico Williams, feel kind of not wanted, feel like a second choice. I mean, no player wants to feel like that. So, that's how it is. That's how it is. So, yeah, I would say on the Jed Spence thing, attitude was there. Some good attitude. And there's definitely a side of Jed Spence that we haven't seen. So, to answer that, we might have not seen one massive one, but there was definitely ones that we maybe witnessed. I've heard that Bong is going to be signing for the under 23s. I'm sure I saw him at the Tottenham game. I'm sure I saw him before the game outside the reception. I'm sure I did. Maybe just coming to watch or whatever. But he certainly won't go down as a Forest legend, will he? Let's be honest. But that's Gaten Bong for you. That's Gaten Bong for you. I don't know how he had a 74 rating on FIFA. I'll never know. A couple of seasons ago. Yours if you want it, brother. Ooh, I might have to take you up on that offer, Tim. I'm well up for that. If you don't want it anymore, obviously, I'm not just going to take it if you want it. But if the offer's there, I must admit, I have got to take it. I think Jen might start to get an attitude though at Spurs. I mean, look, yeah, John, I think you're right. But I mean, you're not getting played. Sometimes you're not even getting included into the squad. I mean, I'm not being funny, but if Emerson Royale is playing ahead of you, then something's wrong. I thought when he came on against Forest, I mean, he didn't have long on the pitch, but I thought he looked good. He looked like he wanted some game time, looked like he needed some game time. And obviously we all knew he was going to come on at that game. We all knew. But for me, I mean, you've got to at least give Jed Spence a try. I mean, Emerson Royale has just got so many mistakes in him and so many, obviously, as you've seen, cards in him as well. So, yeah, I think for me, Jed Spence has to get something at Spurs. But if he doesn't, I just feel he's going to be one of those players that just goes on loan after loan after loan and then eventually gets sold to a championship club. And I think he's so much better than that. I think he'd do well in a Forest side or a Fulham side maybe, or, any kind of newer team to the Premier League. I think he'd do well in. That being said, though, I wouldn't pick him over. I really wouldn't pick him over Nico Williams. And I'm going to stick by that because I know people have been coming for me for that. So, but I will stick by that and say I would pick Nico Williams if it came down to it now. If we had to make the choice, I would. And how, loaned out in January. I mean, for a player of his standard, why would you want that? I mean, you've made a £12 million plus £8 million in add-ons move to Tottenham. You're getting big money. You're in London with your family. Fair enough. Everything's good on that side. But if you really want to be a football player, then that isn't the move for you, and he must have known that he's not going to be this. And Conte didn't want him. Patrici and the owners have said, look, we see him as an investment for the future. I mean, as much as I'd like to go and if I was in Jed Spencer's bit and go, oh, it's nice to think you're seeing I've got potential and stuff, I'm thinking, well, there's another 3 or 4 years potentially that I'm not going to be getting first team game time for, before I'm in my prime, if you like. No, I just don't think it was. And I did warn this would happen on streams that I've done before. I don't see him coming back to Forest. And I know there's people saying, sneaky Forest loan stuff. I don't think we'd do it. We've got Nico there. We've got Aurier there. We're going to have 3 left backs in January, hopefully. And we're going to have, and if we did that, we'd have 3 right backs. It's too much and it would disrupt the team big time. Do you think we'd go in for him if he'd become available? No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. Unless Aurier just suddenly left or Williams suddenly left, which I really don't see happening. No, I don't see us going in for him. There's no need for him at this point. There really isn't a need for him. If we were to get him, it would be useless and wasteful. And I would rather him, as horrible as it is to say, I'd rather him go to another smaller team in the Premier League or newcomers. I'd rather him do that because he's going to get more game time. And it would benefit us more to not bring him in, just for the sake of him and, the other right backs that we've got that are perfectly sufficient. So that's to answer your question, Jonathan. No, I don't think we'll go in for him. I feel like Conte's using him to make a point to the board, but Conte's known for this. Conte's brutal. I mean, if you don't give Conte what he wants, he'll walk. And that's one thing that, to a degree, is good in some ways. A manager that sticks up for himself and doesn't just back down to whatever the owner says, But at the same time, there's also a part of that where you go, well, is he, as an owner, we might be concerned about the results or the players you're bringing in. We don't want to back you on that. And you're threatening to leave us over that. I mean, that's crazy. There has to be a divide. There has to be a middle kind of area where the manager can say, look, I really want you to do this. And the owners kind of go, we're not so sure, but, we'll go for it. Rather than, if you don't do this, I'll just walk. And the owner feeling obliged to do everything they say. The owner has to have some authority, but it's when they have too much or too little. In Conte's football, I respect Conte as a manager. I think he's a really good manager. I think he'll bring success to Tottenham. But it's boring football. I mean, it is rubbish football. It's efficient, but it's rubbish. It's not rubbish. It's just boring. Obviously, rubbish and efficient. Oxymoron, right? But he plays football that just works. It's just not fun to watch. But at the same time, I think when they went to Arsenal, they got beaten 3-1, I think it was. And then when they went to, when they go to Man City, I think they're going to get thrashed there 3 or 4-0. And if they go to United, maybe even United could do a job on them. So, this is it. I just feel for me that Tottenham have got mistakes in them. And I think there's nothing they lose from playing Jed Spence. But maybe he, and Dor, you make a good point. If Forest played boring football and won the league, of course you'd be happy. Of course you would. And I'm not saying that, that there's anything wrong with what Conte's doing, because at the end of the day, he's picking up points and Forest are doing good. But at the same time, they've got a lot of weaknesses and they're going to go and get found out by teams. Arsenal have found them out already. I think Man City, as I say, are going to find them out. Man United probably could do a job over them as well. Chelsea now, you look at them with Graham Potter, they're looking like an efficient side. So I think that, as much as I'd say, yeah, they do play boring football and they're going to get found out, they are picking up points, as you rightfully mentioned. And I suppose in the Prem, it's all that matters, not necessarily how you beat the team, just beating them and that's it. And, you looked at the game yesterday against Brighton, which for me, I don't feel Brighton deserved to lose based on the, the second half of the first half and the actual second half performances. I thought they were really good and I thought they played really good football and I thought they kept possession for most of it. But Tottenham chucked 7 bodies in the box to defend and that's it. You can't get past them. I don't know if you noticed in the Forest game, but how many shots did we have on? Essentially, not many, or if any. And how many shots did we have in the box? You know what I mean? This is it. Tottenham don't allow teams to shoot in the box that often. They just pile people in the box. And, it does work. It does work, but not very fun to watch. And obviously, there is weaknesses to what they do as well. So, as we found out at Brighton, they can pull them apart, until it comes to that defensive point. And then, Conte's winning that bit, because he's also a very good defensive manager. Obviously he's been training with the three at the back, the wing backs for years, with Inter and everybody else. So good manager. Football's boring, but he picks up the points, George, good evening. I hope you're doing well. I feel like Cooper had next to no say in most of our transfers. I mean, look, Dylan, I know as much as you on this one. I would say I think he did have. I think he's had a say, right? I know that we might go over the top a little bit at times. We might say I think he's had no say, but I do think he's had say in transfers. But if there has been other influences, then that's just it. That's the unfortunate side of it. It's not Steve Cooper's football club. So if the owners did decide they wanted to go and do something, then I suppose they do it. But I do hope it's not the case. But you just never know, do you? Guys, don't forget, you can ask me any questions. We're going to be here till 8 o'clock. So that's 8 o'clock. And I'm not sure. I don't know if Dor is streaming. I think Dor's streaming tonight. So if if you are up and you're still listening, please feel free to go and, feel free. Please go and listen to the amazing Dor on tour, as I say. And also, Dor, just a little one for you. I thought I'd mention that actually Wales have got Turkey, Latvia, Armenia, and Croatia next year in the Europa League. No, sorry, Euro League 2024 qualifiers in Germany. So they've got the qualifiers in Turkey, Latvia, Armenia, and Croatia. So I'd love to do Armenia and Latvia. That'd be quite cool. Armenia would be awesome. And you're coming with me, aren't you, Dor? So it's all good. It's all good. You're a Cymru fan now. That's what it's all about. Who do you think we need to bring in in January? I think at least one more decent centre-back and probably... But this is it. You look at these centre-backs, right? If you're going for a back four, you've got to choose between McKenna, Worrell, Niakate, Biancone, Bade, Bolly, and Beso. There's 7 there. And if you're in a back three, a little bit less difficult to choose, but still you've got so many players. One of them's got to go. Oh, sorry, and Cook as well. So there's 8 there. I think someone's leaving in January. So a centre-back has got to leave in January. Whether Bade doesn't get enough game time and gets recalled, or maybe Steve Cook, or I can't see it happening, but they've got to do something. They have to do something. And maybe a new defender coming in will happen, but anything's possible at this point. I'll watch it for you, obviously, but it's not been more than years. That's fine. Don't worry. That sounds fine to me. I think Scarpa will be good. Yeah, 100%. Scarpa, very good player. Very talented Brazilian player. And as you know, Brazilians, fantastic playmakers. If you can get a Brazilian in your team, take them, because those guys have been born to play football. Do you think our team will beat Villa? Or do you think we can? 100% we can beat Villa. We can beat Villa with the team that we put out against Leicester, I think. Bar Kuyate probably. But I think it's a confidence thing a lot of the time. I think that, obviously they're demotivated, demoralised. But now they've got a chance to bring it back. So I think we can beat them. I think it's very doable. It's just about doing it now. So fingers crossed. Must be exhausting for the players massively. Some of them played a lot of time in the internationals and stuff. Brennan and Nico and Hennessy as well. So players are going to be tired naturally. And maybe they haven't done so well in the internationals, or maybe they have. I don't know. It's going to have effects on their confidence levels. So football's a very demanding sport. And this year with the World Cup, it's a very, very, very tight schedule. And it's also very, very busy. So, you do have to give players leeway in that respect. But you can't give them too much leeway. We need to get 3 points. Jay, you back 3 or 4 would you play? I'm going to be honest with you all, and I'm going to chuck a back 3 in there again. I would like to see a 5-3-2 though. But at the same time, you're not getting the best out of Jono. So I don't know. It's really tough. It is really tough. You can't put, you can't put 5-2-3-1 or no, sorry, not 5-2-3-1. You can't put a 5-3-2 really, because you're not going to get the best out of Jono. You're going to struggle to get 3 in the midfield and get wingers as well. It's just not possible. So I'm going to go for a back four. Just wishing Niakate would be back. 40 minutes in. Please like and subscribe if you can. We're going to enter the last 10 minutes of the show. I've got school and radio in the morning, so if you're interested in listening to the radio, get in touch. Would be amazing if you come and listen in the morning, 8 a.m. Nottingham Hostel's radio. And also, you can tune in tomorrow night from 10 to 8, and there'll be a little highlights package being played before the game, a little bit of pre-match chat, and some reports throughout the game. And there might be even the odd picture of me eating whatever food they've got. And there will be a picture of me and Michael Dawson together tomorrow as well, so love it. Chris, if you're listening as well, you're a legend. And Michael, if you're listening, you're a legend. See you next Wednesday. Who are your favourites for relegation so far? Mine probably Southampton. I'm going to go Southampton, Leeds, and if you're talking about the moment, us. That's as simple as it is. I think the form that we're in at the moment is relegation form. But in the end, I think it'll be Southampton, Leeds, maybe Crystal Palace. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But they always turn it around. But yeah, if Forest don't go down, it would be, for me, Southampton, Leeds and Crystal Palace. Probably the biggest Premier League relegations club-wise and club size-wise in years. Get in touch tomorrow. 100% will do. Will do, Tim. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Kel. As I say, if you are interested in listening to the radio tomorrow, I'll be on there. I was hoping I'd have my tablet so I could do a bit of a quiz tomorrow, but unfortunately I can't. And that'll have to be next week instead. But never mind. We can always wait till next week, can't we? A little bit gutted that I can't do the quiz. But yeah, that's it if you want to listen to the radio. So last kind of 8 or so minutes, people, get in your questions. It's been a quiet one tonight, obviously, with Man U and with Man U and Everton being on, so completely understand. Malk, good to have you. I hope you're doing good, my friend. And as I say, I think it'll be a tough game against Aston Villa, as I say. But Forest have got the minerals, they've got the ability, and I'm hoping they've got the motivation to go out and beat Aston Villa. And I think a strong first half and a good, I'd like to say early goals, but we know what's happened on those times when we've done that. Couple of early goals or an early goal at some point, just to get us started and the City ground rocking would be really nice. So let's just hope and pray that thing happens. Let's hope and pray that things go well. And let's put our trust in Steve Cooper. He's here for a reason. He's had his contract extended for a reason. He's got a vision and he's got the players that he can do it with 100%. Who would be the midfielders starting tomorrow, though? Will it be Kouyaté and O'Brien? Will it be O'Brien and Yates? Will it be O'Brien and Mangala? Will it be Freuler and O'Brien? Will it be Freuler and Mangala? Let's wait and see. I'm interested. I think if we play back 4, then Toff is definitely the better option. Yeah, I mean, anything really. It's a tough one. So, yeah. Oh, it's Ronaldo that scored for Man U. That's a pretty big goal. Remember, I said 4-2. So let's see what happens. The bet's there. 4-2, people, if you want to take it. I don't know what the odds are on it now, but 4-2. It's 4-2. That's what I'm going for. Can they do it? So Forza Garibaldi have also put out a message saying, can Forest fans bring a scarf with them tomorrow night? They've got a little bit of something happening in 2 parts of the City ground. So if you can bring a scarf tomorrow, Forza Garibaldi have got something planned as well. So I don't know about that. But bring your scarves tomorrow, everybody. Be another cracking atmosphere tomorrow, hopefully, especially now Cooper is signed. Absolutely. Not Forest related, but we have had a game today and there was 4 fights, 2 fly kicks and a punch thrown. Oh, right. That sounds a bit hectic, George, to be honest. That's the standard Sunday league, though, isn't it? I love a Saturday league game where there's fighting. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I love a proper tasty game. You can't beat it, can you, really? So hopefully we're going to have Pat Lally on in a couple of weeks as well, which would be nice. Bit of soaps ex-Forest on there. I don't know. Having a bit of your Soaps news and your Forest news. You can't beat it, can you, really? You can't beat it. So hopefully Mangala and O'Brien, fingers crossed. I'd like that. Pace and physicality, very good mix. I don't really want Kuyat in that midfield. Just pace-wise, I don't really. And I think his physicality is not there. My money's on a display about Cooper tomorrow. Would be nice. I think that the South Bank have that big, the big banner of Cooper that they put over the top of their building. I think that might be going down there. So I don't know, but I know they put it on Twitter. So maybe they've got something they're working on there. But I hope it is something to Cooper. We love Cooper. And I just hope that Forest stick by him no matter what. And it's just good to see that they have they've started off that with with getting a new contract for him, 3 years. Don't want to see any players arguing on the pitch again. Absolutely. And some of the players that were arguing with other players, don't really have the right to be doing so. But we don't know what was said. They were obviously disappointed in the heat of the moment. We've all done it. Playing football. So, but listen, everybody, I appreciate you listening. It's been a pleasure to bring you another stream. We will be back tomorrow night. Well, no, what night are we on? We're on Monday. It won't be tomorrow night. Probably Tuesday night, because I've got a driving lesson on Tuesday at 6 a.m. So unfortunately, I can't stream late at night on Monday. And I can imagine most YouTubers are the same, bar potentially Wolverine. Man's a machine. Yeah, Tuesday, I think we'll be back Tuesday night, 8 p.m. So stay tuned here. Thank you all for joining. Radio in the morning at 8. Please like, share, and subscribe if you can. Let's try and get to 50 likes before the end of the night. Let's do it. Literally, all you have to do is just click the little thumbs up button down below. And it'll be brilliant. So thank you all for tuning in. Have a fantastic evening. And if you are at the Forest game tomorrow, literally just tweet me at I'm Jamie Martin. And it would be absolutely you guys there and to come and see you. So see you all tomorrow. Take care. Have a brilliant night. And we'll see you soon.